Well, I had planned to do a little Zoom interview with a friend today, and he had to do his taxes. So, new plan. He will hopefully be coming on next week. But in the meantime, I thought I would just share a little bit about why I want to bring on a range of experience levels to talk about the process of filmmaking and experiencing film festivals. So this friend that I want to bring on is very similar to where I am at with just dipping our toes into producing our own films and attending film festivals. And I thought it would be actually really valuable for me personally to talk with him just about his film festival experience last year. He did I think it was a 38-hour film challenge where he only had like a couple days to throw together a film with some friends and a crew. And then he felt it turned out so well that why not just enter it into some festivals? And so I want to just pick his brain about what that was like going to festivals to show your film for the first time. What was it like to finally see it on the big screen? What was it like to see strangers watching it, not just your friends and family that you know are just going to love your work because they love you? I'm excited to talk to him. I do also plan to bring other people from my team that have been filmmaking for a lot longer. They have a huge list of credits from my director to, hopefully, we'll see, to actors. But I think it's so valuable to hear from people at all different stages of the journey. If you've seen some of my look back videos, I've mentioned how I had these things that I previously called detours to my career, or my purpose is how I see it. My purpose of acting, it really is what I feel like I have to do for the rest of my life now. But it took me a while to get to realizing that. And while I was kind of searching and kind of, rediscovering if acting was really what I was supposed to do, I went down a couple other paths. And so for a while I went towards music, and then after that I went towards martial arts for a while before finally realizing, no, acting is really what I'm built for. But I no longer see them as detours. And here's why. I learned something from each of those processes that now just gives me a really clear understanding and perspective to work from. And even certain discipline mentalities that I learned from those other things that I pursued. So for instance, something that was really valuable to me was I always loved singing. From a young age, I loved to sing. Loved to perform. I did musical theater all growing up at this beautiful historic theater. But I've always felt like I had a realistic understanding of my ability. And I could tell that I was not the singer that could just stand up and belt an amazing song and do riffs and runs. I couldn't do that. If I practiced, I could carry the tune and I could sing a solo for a play, but I couldn't just hanging out with friends, start singing a song and hit all Mariah Carey's riffs, So I knew that about myself. And what that turned into was it kind of pushed me away from pursuing more singing because in my mind, you were just born with it or you weren't. And those were the only two options. Fast forward to I met this amazing vocal coach who taught me some disciplines and some practices where I could train and gain control of my voice just like you would with training for a sport. So I started to hear my voice do things that I had never known that it could do. And while that was exciting, what I learned most from that process was the people around me, Like I was in a choir, and the people in the choir that just naturally had these amazing voices and naturally had that talent to control their voice, they sometimes were people who struggled to emote and express the emotion of the story that they were singing or the lyrics they were singing. And that is something that just naturally comes easily to me. So what I realized was, hey, like, I am talented at this. I'm talented at the expression and the embodiment of the story. And then, yes, I have to work a little harder than some of these other people do on the vocal control. But on the flip side, I just finally started valuing what I had and was realized like, hey, some of them might wish that it was easier for them to be a little more expressive about the music while they're singing. Who knows? Maybe they didn't think about it at all. But I did just realize, even if you are born with a talent, there are still elements that you need to work on and discipline yourself in order to create a career out of it. No matter what, no matter how talented you are, there is still something about it you need to be disciplined in. And just as importantly, you need to value the part that you are actually gifted in instead of thinking of the whole thing as a failure just because you're not effortlessly talented at the whole of the career. So I had to learn how to value the fact that I easily express, I easily show the emotion, and then acknowledge that I need to work on the vocal control and the vocal practice, and that's okay. But valuing my part that I am gifted in. So that really carried over into filmmaking for me. It just made me very aware of the parts that I am naturally gifted in and feel energized by, and then the parts that I have to discipline myself to do and do even if they're uncomfortable, and then the parts that I really just need to delegate and hand off to someone else, and that's okay too. But I think being aware of all those things instead of just comparing yourself to others and putting yourself down, like it's such a healthy balance to know what you are gifted in and what you need to learn to be disciplined in, even if someone else is talented in that area and it comes easy for them. So all that to say that the reason I want to talk to people and interview people that are in the whole range of experience in these things, I just think it's so valuable to demystify the different stages. Because if I only brought on people that were like, oh yeah, old hat, I've been doing this forever, so talented, so easy, like often those people can forget the things that they had to push through. And also it can make it seem untouchable to those of us that are just at the beginning of the process. I mean, with martial arts too, I remember like for the first 5 or 6 months, I would walk through the door and just feel like an idiot because I'd have to think so hard about the things I was learning and like one punch after the other and oh wait, no, I need to shift my shoulder and I'm not remembering to turn my shoulder when I punch, and why can't I just remember these things, and why is it so much brain work, right? And I just left feeling like such a dodo every single day. But I kept telling myself, like, just keep showing up. If you just keep showing up, then you have to be learning something, right? And that is true, because after like 6 months, it stopped being brain baggage and it started to become muscle memory. And then it really became fun because I just could flow in it. I could just feel it in my body and kind of just see where I went instead of having to think step by step. And I know any of you who has worked through a process and a skill to get to that level of muscle memory, instruments, singing, martial arts, sports, you know what I'm talking about. So working through that in martial arts and learning to not only push through the the stage of transition and the stage of clumsiness, but to actually embrace it and actually just, I don't know how good I did at that at first, honestly. I think I just mostly was angry that I felt so stupid, but I just kept showing up anyway. But now that I'm carrying it over into filmmaking and acting, I have now learned to actually embrace that part and also remind myself that everybody, when they start something or even start a new skill set in something, a new category of something, like there's always that awkward part and you'll never get past it unless you just do it. So I value so much those detours that I took because they gave me such a healthy, freeing perspective to just fumble forward. Even in these videos, I'm like, I don't have a clear path forward. I'm going to just start doing them because I know that if I just keep walking through the door, if I just keep doing it, then I will get better. Instead of, I'm going to just sit here until it's all perfectly planned out in my head and I know exactly what I'm going to say so that I never sound stupid and I never look stupid, and you know, people will always think that what I said was super valuable. I don't care anymore. I don't care. None of this may be helpful for anyone, but I'm going to just keep doing it. And I know that even if this doesn't end up being the thing, maybe something that I discover along the way will be the thing. But I know now what makes me come alive. I know now what I enjoy doing. And so I'm going to just keep doing it. So I hope that you enjoy the guests that I bring on here. This is new for me. So even learning how to ask people to be interviewed is uncomfortable for me, but I'm going to do it because I'm just excited to collaborate and be interdependent, even in this video series. So welcome aboard.